Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Beyond the Outer Realm. We're broadcasting on the United Public Radio Network, UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 FM from the Gulf Coast, 107.7 FM from New Orleans. Today, yay, I'm so happy because I have reconnected with a very Francis Poe and show back in the day, and Ask Your Angels is just an amazing show, and we used to have so much fun, and we've got terrific memories about things going on like tornado warnings on our last Halloween segment, and it was crazy, but it was so much fun. Anyway, today she's joining me, and we're going to be talking pretty much, I say, everything angels, but it won't just be that. We'll talk about signs from loved ones, how to connect with our guides and our angels, and working with specific angels, those synchronicities when we see all those, what they call angel numbers or spiritual numbers, and there's just so much. And maybe we'll even hit on how angels come in many different forms, not just necessarily what we see, or what we've been taught to believe. Maybe it's something along the lines of how we see them or how we perceive them, because it varies from faith to faith. But I think it'll be a whole boatload of fun. So without further ado, my friend, Christine, hello.
Hi, Michelle.
How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Really happy to be here.
Aw, it's awesome to have you. It's just so much fun. Um, we used to have so much fun, honestly. I do think when you brought up, do you remember that tornado night? It was like,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. My kids were really small and they were upstairs and we were in the basement and they had a tornado warning, and that's all I could think of during the show.
It was insane because I'm
And
thinking,
the lights went out.
yeah, and I'm thinking I have to drive in this. Those whole skies lighting up over me. Not that I don't normally love it, because I do, but it was just something else. Anyway, wow. Well, I'm so glad that you're here to join me today and talk about all this fun stuff. And I say fun stuff because it's really a matter of um how angels do come in different ways and different forms. It's not always what we think it is. So
That's very true.
yeah. So let's go to humble beginnings with you and angels and experiences and what led you on this path to your show, to your work, the readings, wherever you want to start.
Well, when I was 7 years old, I
Yeah.
started hearing voices. I tell people it's kind of like when you go into a conference room and everybody's talking at once, and it's like, and you can't quite make out what they're saying,
Yeah.
but it's quite overwhelming. And I didn't know what that was. I mean, I was 7, and back then nobody talked about this sort of thing.
Mhm.
And I realize now this is spirits from the other side that were all lined up, all waiting to talk to me. Aren't I lucky?
Right. Yeah.
And
I love it.
but it terrified me back then. So I used to get depressed and very scared. And at one point, I just basically just screamed out, "Please just go away. Just stop."
Mm.
And it stopped just like that.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I was 17 years old, my sister gave me this, which I'm kind of embarrassed to say, they were Gypsy Witch playing cards, and you could do readings with them, and I would read for my friends. I mean, I used to always kind of do that anyway without the cards, give them advice, and things would, come true, basically. I didn't realize I had a gift then, to be honest. But I would do these readings, and then years later, when they were grown up, they'd say, "Oh, remember when you gave me that reading? And this totally came true." And I was getting it so many times that I decided to finally open myself back up to what I had experienced when I was younger, with the understanding, because you can, when you're speaking to your angels, when you're speaking to people on the other side, you can say, "I want to hear your messages. I want to feel your presence. Show me signs. I don't want to actually physically see you. I've only seen," I saw my father-in-law right after he passed. And it's, even though I'm not afraid of the other side. That was a bit unnerving because I wasn't. It's
Yeah.
not something. I'm not you. I don't want to see them all the time.
I didn't either though when I was younger, like, and I didn't want to hear them. It felt very intrusive, and I watched, my daughter go through it, and I'd hear her at night, she's 15, and would you all just shut the hell up, go back, get any sleep. I'd be like, you know, and I was 14, and I didn't like that aspect of it either. I felt it was just, like you don't want, you start questioning, like, is this me? What is it I'm hearing? And it was not comfortable at that time of my life. So I could see why you would want to just say no. And I found it was very hard for me to get the clairaudience back after I shunned it, sort of thing.
It is. It is. There's times I kind of, my friend can do it. She sees ghosts all the time. And
Hmm.
there's a little part of me who's jealous. It's like, I want to have the whole package, but
Yeah.
at the same time, I know that I'm not ready for that.
Yeah.
My son too has a gift.
Hmm.
We had actually a few years back, we had a vortex up in our upstairs bathroom.
Oh,
So
that's an unusual place to have it.
I know. Have you covered vortexes before?
Oh yeah, I've talked about vortex. I'm really familiar with them.
So people kind of know what I'm talking about when I say vortex. So it's kind of like a entryway for spirits
Like a portal.
to come in and out. A portal. It's a
Yes.
portal.
Okay.
So I was in the bathroom and I'm looking in the mirror, and we had the shower curtain, or we did back then. It was
Yeah.
when the bathroom, before it was renovated, we had a shower curtain that literally I felt something. I felt a presence.
Hmm.
And I was like, okay, someone's here, but I wasn't really acknowledging that they were here.
Right.
And all of a sudden, the shower curtain came down like this, like someone just yanked it down.
Oh.
And I'm like, okay, so this spirit is angry with me for some reason. And I didn't know what that was.
Hmm.
And then my son woke up and said, Mom, we have two ghosts in the bathroom. I said, I know.
Great place for them, but okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
we've had that.
Yeah. And how did you figure that out? Did you just basically say, okay?
Well, I knew there were two spirits. I felt there was a young one. I knew there was an older one, and the older one was angry. Basically, at that point, I called my friend Leslie in,
Mhm.
because I wanted to detach from it. If
Mhm.
the spirit's angry with me, I didn't want to be open with it in case it hung around.
Right.
So she came over and did a clearing, and she basically said it was two spirits. There was a grandfather and there was a young child.
Oh.
And the grandfather was angry that I wasn't paying attention to no, sorry, I'm wrong. It was actually three.
Oh.
We had two spirits there, but the person that was angry with me was the mother who had passed and crossed over.
Yeah.
All of them had crossed over, the grandfather, the daughter.
Mhm.
The grandfather was looking after the daughter, and she died under his watch. And he never got over it, and he felt guilty, and so he couldn't
Oh.
cross over.
Oh.
And so she didn't want to leave her grandfather. So my friend was consoling her while talking to the mother, who said, I want them over here. So she basically got them to go into the light.
Right. That's the fact that they would all come through at the same time, to me, is very interesting.
Well, we've had this before. Something about that bathroom. I don't know why it's the bathroom.
Yeah, I know.
I know, but ever since
A place of reflection. I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe something happened years ago. It's an old house. I don't know, but
Yeah. Yeah.
we haven't had it since we renovated. We haven't.
Right. Which is very interesting. Yeah, during the renovation time, it just seems to be a little bit of upheaval,
Mhm.
because we had a haunted manor house in Niagara, and with that being said, we would often explain to the spirits what we were doing, and we found after a while that they would start helping. Like, they would let us know, like, there was a door here, or there was a window here, and we'd start finding all of it. And
Wow.
yeah, it was crazy, but we would explain it because I think, there's that theory where spirits think that perhaps you are not trying to ruin the house, that you're just trying to make it better, sort of thing, right? So,
Mhm.
oh God, I don't know. Are you related to Edgar Allan Poe?
Oh, actually, I'm a writer. I would love to say that I am, but it's my husband's name, and apparently no. He's related to some royalty in Scotland or something, but no. Not
Yes,
Edgar
me
Allan.
too. Well, Ron is from Scotland, actually. So this is actually,
Oh.
yes, there we go. I love it. I love it. So, yeah, get the spirits. So that's basically how that kick started you into, because I always say, usually when we head down a certain path, it's due to experiences and angel experiences. So why angels? Like, we'll start off with readings before we kind of go into anything else, because
Mhm.
you do angel readings.
I have always felt that I had angels around me. I
Mm-hmm.
heard them talking to me all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Just you just hear the voices in your head. And
Yes,
I know that makes me sound crazy, but maybe
I
not,
know.
hopefully not to your viewers, but
Yeah,
I,
yeah.
I hear them talking to me all the time. And another friend of mine who always can see angel lights around you has said that it's always the same. I'll say, Yana, how many angels do I have around me today? And it's always 7. Always, always,
Oh,
always.
so it's like the what they call the holy lucky number too.
It's all my lucky
Yeah,
number 7. I've
yeah.
always felt an attachment to the number 777.
Mm-hmm.
And I did look that up. That is all about spiritual enlightenment
Mm-hmm.
and, enhancing your psychic abilities, things like
Mm-hmm.
that. So it
Mm-hmm.
was right down my alley.
Yes.
But 7's always been very significant for me. So, but I
Yes.
always joke with her, even if I'm going through hard times, it's like, really? Really? She's got 12 and I still only have 7.
Because you resonate with the number, and I think when you resonate with certain things, the universe has a way of giving it to you.
Mhm.
Hi, Christine. You're not crazy. You are blessed.
Well, that's so
Absolutely.
nice. I
Absolutely.
started doing more exercises to open myself back up.
Hmm.
And one of the things, because my goal is to really, we all have this gift. It's just some don't know how to use it or they're afraid of it. Or so I've done angel workshops where, and I'll share this with your viewers. Maybe they've tried this, but basically you just do like a little meditation and then you do a grounding and you kind of just clear yourself
Hmm.
and you stand very still. And I close my eyes because I don't want any distractions. And I just stand there
Hmm.
and I say, please, like I call upon, I work with Archangel Michael and Archangel Raphael.
Hmm.
So I say, please surround me with your white healing light. I feel the light coming in through my crown chakra and going all through my body.
Hmm.
And then I say, please use me as a pendulum.
Hmm.
Please tell me, I'm going to ask a question. Show me yes, show me no. So if I go to the right, that's,
Hmm.
I call it. So I'll say, I'll go to the right, that's yes. I go to the left, that's no.
Hmm.
So you can ask questions. You can be at home and ask your angels questions that have yes and no answers. And if you're focused enough and you're just like, no other distractions, you will literally feel them push you one way or the other
Hmm.
so that you can get answers that way too.
Hmm.
But
Do you?
once I started doing that exercise, that's what really opened me up. And
Hmm.
I started hearing messages more and loved ones would pop in. I don't do grief readings.
Mm.
As you know, a lot of people who are grieving will
Yeah.
contact me. And if you're grieving, and you probably already know this, Michelle, like you're very closed off to those messages because you're full of grief and
Hmm.
you just can't always get through when you're in that state.
Hmm.
But I've done readings where I don't say I'm going to make it happen. It's just
Hmm.
more of an angel therapy reading, and then somebody will pop in.
Yeah. Hi, Jojo from Manchester, UK. Nice to see you. Um, yeah, I find with grieving, it makes it really difficult.
Mhm.
because of the state of mind that people tend to be in. And where it gets a little bit funky is knowing, because people are vulnerable, other things tend to come in at times as well.
Oh, yes.
The mimic. So you don't really know 100% where the messages, come from, because some of these mimics are very, very compelling. And I find that people bring them in because they're so desperate for that one sign.
Yeah, for
Right.
sure.
So,
Hmm.
yeah. Right. So, um, Christine Strickland, I had an MRI done when I saw my first spirit. I thought I had a tumor. No, so the loved ones come around, or, but you never know. Oh, Wayne made it. Hello, late as usual. Power outage. Yes, I know all about that. Show almost didn't happen, people.
Oh my gosh, that's kind of like when we did the show here and the power went off.
I know.
I think I'm starting to think it's you.
I know. It was so funny, honestly. That was such a night. But hey, we persevered. We persevered. But yeah, so it is really tough with grieving. And I understand why people need it, but I used to do a lot of spirit communications, and I always had a 1-year rule. And people thought it's just mean. And I'm just like, it's not mean at
No,
all. It's for your safety, right?
that makes total
Because
sense to me.
yeah, right?
Yeah,
Because
for
I think
sure.
you get to that point where it's just, I think you do that, and then it's like they fail to see the true signs that will come around them afterwards, because it's an addictive thing, you know.
I have a story around that. I had a friend contact me because her friend, this family, how do I say it? She had this family that were friends of hers
Mhm.
who unfortunately lost their daughter. She was on a trampoline outside. She was 11 years old. She had asthma really bad. She had an asthma attack. Her father tried to revive her and couldn't. And she passed. And my friend contacted me and said, look, can you please do a reading for them? And I said, this isn't something I normally do. Like I literally, what I do is like angel therapy. People that are going through things need to find their life's purpose, what goals they have. I try to help them navigate that. But I'm like you. I think a year needs to pass, and I generally don't. But I said to her, I think the best way for me to do this is just try to do an automatic reading and just see what comes in. So I just started writing like crazy. And I actually did connect with their daughter, who basically, and I was sitting there just crying my eyes out doing this reading as I wrote it.
Yeah.
And she kept saying, like, please, Daddy, like, please, it wasn't your fault. Please, like, get out of bed. Please go on. Sorry, I get very. Yeah. I felt, I never knew this little girl, but I felt such a strong connection to her. And I ended up speaking with the mom afterwards. I had sent them this reading, and she messaged me and said, it just changed our lives. Like, he got out of bed. We've been, really struggling with this, and you're our angel. And they had me, they invited me to the kind of the memorial at the funeral home. And I went to that. And when I came out, I met her brothers, and they said, how did you know she had a dog? And I said, well, I saw the dog with her. And I just, I was just writing what was coming. But what I found out, I was talking to my angel group about this story. And as I was talking about this little girl, we were in a round circle. This white butterfly came in and started circling around us like this as we were talking. And I said, this is her. I know it's her. And then I heard from the family who said this white butterfly came into the house and sat on her brother's finger and would not leave. And they tried to do this. It would not go away. So we know
Uh,
that was her.
right. See, I love that, and I want to talk a little bit about signs.
Well,
Um,
just one
no,
last
no,
thing.
yeah, go ahead. I
The
just flash
reason
up comments, so don't mind me.
the reason I brought that up was her mother, because you'd said when you're grieving, you can't hear messages. Her mother actually contacted me again and she said, I'm so angry. I'm just so angry with her. And I said, why? Why are you angry with her? She said, because I'm getting all these messages from my sister, my aunt, my cousin, and they're all telling me that she visited them and that they, or in a dream, or she's told them this and she's told them that. Why won't she talk to me? And
Mm,
I said, but she is. She is talking to you because you're so full of grief. She can't get through. She's
mm.
actually going to people that love you, that she knows you'll get those messages back.
See, sometimes it comes secondhand or third hand. You know, I think when we, um, as parents, especially,
Sorry.
that's okay.
I get emotional. Sorry.
Well, it's like Wayne says, child spirits are pure. It's why we often feel so moved when we connect with them. And I think if you're a parent as well, it's a different type of connection because you seem to just put yourself in that position. Like, what if? Like, it's an emotional. When I first started having babies, I could cry just thinking about something happening to me and them just having to grow up without me. And it happens all the time out there. It's just,
Yeah.
terrible. I was filming at a location one time and in southwestern Ontario, and I had a person who was at a location. One of the neighbors came by and she goes, I need to speak with you when you're done. Or she came over and she said, I need to make sure the spirits of this house aren't bothering mine. And I was like, okay. No guarantees there, but okay. But I said, you need to speak with me. I knew. And she said, yes, please. I said, okay. So I went over there afterwards and found out that their daughter had died in a swimming pool. I guess her bathing suit, something had gotten caught behind the filter that was in this
Oh
above. It
no.
was horrific. It was horrific. And I think she was 13 and grounded. And where it shows you where things can go wrong is that the family was so distraught, of course, because this didn't happen, I believe, at their residence. I think it happened at a friend's. So it makes it a little bit harder. But people shut down completely.
Mhm.
They sealed off even the cars, their vehicles. They wouldn't drive those specific vehicles because of the smell of their daughter. The bedroom. They saved as much as they could, which of course I get all of that, and that's okay. But where it got harder is that, I said, if you don't let her go, one day you're not going to be here. And what if she loses her way to you? Because sometimes spirits become grounded and they're grounded after that. If they want to just hang back so desperately, unsolved business, that kind of thing. And if somebody doesn't catch it to help them and they just tend to lose their way, then I've seen it happen. And the response to me was, well, we have children, they'll have children, there'll always be somebody for her. And I thought, that's that's the selfish part of us.
Very, very yes.
And I'll tell you something, it took probably about 3 or 4 years. And then one day I just saw a post come up and they had moved on. They
Oh,
had
good.
moved on. Yeah, she had been moved on and they had sold their house and they made that move. But you know, it just shows like it's really tough, which is why the 1 year rule is so important. And
Mhm.
sometimes it takes us longer. But
For sure.
then there's those signs, the signs that they leave, the birds, like you say, the butterflies. I've had so many with birds not even native to our area,
Mhm.
you know?
Well, I don't know if you know this, but my mom passed away a year ago, May.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
And my mom loved traveling and she loved slot machines. So we took a trip just after she passed. Well, not right after she passed, but we took a trip and we went down east, which was her favorite trip to take. And I felt her with me the entire way, to the point where I'd see these beautiful, they have beautiful hydrangeas down there that are like this color, like vibrant colors. And I'd be, Mom, look at those. Aren't they beautiful? And I just could feel that she was like, yes, they're great. And so I talked to her in my head the whole way there. So we stopped off at Montreal. And this is important. Not that anyone really wants to know my room number, but it was 129 was our room number. And from there we went to Rhode Island, and it was 329. Then we got to Atlantic City, you know, motherland, where the casinos were. And they actually, our room wasn't ready. So they put us in a different room that was 1429. So I posted on Facebook to my friends. I said, I know my mom's with me. I know she loves the slot machines, but it seems to me every one of these ended in 29. So should I try the roulette wheel, which I never do, but should I? And they're all absolutely. So we were there with a couple of friends who met. It was our anniversary, and they had met us in Atlantic City after we got married. So we invited them to go with us. So we all went down, and I put $25 on number 29. And I had posted on Facebook, you know, 29, when you add 29 in numerology, is 11. It's right. 9 plus 2 is 11. That's a very strong angel number.
Yes.
Number 11. So anyway, I put the money on 29. Wheel goes around, and doesn't 11 come up? And I'm like, oh no, like I mentioned 11 too. I should have put it on both, right?
Yes.
So my friend Susan was at her roulette wheel, and I said, you know, I bet if you put your money on 11, my mom would help you win. And she says, okay. So she puts her money on 11, the wheel's going around, and then I think about it and I go, you know, my mom had a great sense of humor. I'm pretty sure, you know, knowing my mom, that's going to be 29, and didn't 29 come up? But for me, it was a sign, right? And I was like, thanks, Mom. And she was like, yeah, thanks, Mom.
Yeah.
So the next day, Brett, that's my husband, Brett says, you know what? Let's go down to the roulette wheel. I'm going to try number 29. Really? He goes, yeah. I said, okay. So we go down, and it actually lands on 26. But the person behind who's operating the table puts this little crystal thing on number 29 and clears the table. And the guy who had his money on 26 said, no, it was 26, and I had it on 26. And people beside me who go to the casino all the time, I do not, said this is unprecedented, that this guy would wipe the table clean. We had to wait 20 minutes for him to check a video to find out that it actually was 26. But I said to him, don't feel bad. I go, this is my mom. She really, really wanted us to win on number 29.
That's funny.
So when I relayed that story, my friend said, you know why she picked 29? I said, no. She said, because that's the day of her memorial celebration, was the 29th.
So she was acknowledging the memorial.
Yeah. So that was another sign.
Yeah.
Sorry for that very long story.
No. It's okay. This is your show, so it can go any direction that you want it to. I see that one is where it's one where you had to almost give thought to, and how many go missed, how many messages get missed because it's not being broken down. You know, like for me, I would get things, like I said, like birds, but unusual birds. You know, we had a white dove after my best friend died, sat there for a week over our door frame. I'm going, somebody must have let this thing off at a wedding. It wasn't computing. And I had an elderly friend who dealt with birds. And I said, can you come and pick this poor little angel up? Because she's been out there forever, you know? And literally about half an hour before he arrived, she took off after
You
being
know,
there
you
for
know that
about
was your friend, right?
exactly, but it didn't compute at that moment, you know. And my mother always loved doves and cardinals. So you see a dove and a cardinal, all of a sudden I get an influx of cardinals. My sister is the other way, all doves, like in obscure places, almost like at her window, just staring in. She's like, "This is so weird," but you know, it's just things that sometimes it's obvious and sometimes it's not. You really do have to break it down. And you had the
Mhm.
29, how you broke it into the 11, and you know, it's so fascinating with that. So I think it's a wonderful experience. So I don't know. Let's talk about these weird like synchronicities, angel synchronicities. The universe speaks in, I believe, symbols, numbers, and synchronicities. I'm not a big believer personally in coincidence, but
No,
it's
I'm
like,
not.
right?
Mm-mm.
Once you start to recognize the synchronicities, whether it be a song, a sign, a number,
The scent.
a scent.
My father-in-law always showed up when we had our first child. He
Hmm.
had passed just before Bryce was born,
Yeah.
and he would show up, and I could feel him in the room, and I smelled. He was a chain smoker, and I smelled
Yeah.
cigarette smoke, and none of us smoked. So,
Yes. Yeah. See, right there. I love it. My grandfather was black toast. No, burnt toast and black coffee. It's always smell that like, oh, that's grandpa, you know. They're all around us, but we're so busy with life, we just don't stop to feel, to see. Coincidences between described as patterns. I look for patterns. Yeah, that
Mhm,
as well. I would see for me a a pattern would be like synchronicities,
mhm.
things that keep coming up to guide you down that path. Like, you know, I've told this story before, you know, with the last day I went to see my mother, and my maiden name is very spelt very specific and not the usual way, and there it was, right on the back of a transport. I'm just, you know, I'm driving and I look up and was like, there, okay, yeah, there it is. And I think I knew at that point, I'm just like, okay, you know, the acknowledgement of everything. And the transport thing has happened with me several times. Or just, you know, you're thinking of something and you look up and then there's a billboard or there's a street sign or there's a license plate. Like just little hints.
Did you ever see the movie Fools Rush In with Matthew Perry?
No,
Oh,
I
it's
have
such
not.
a good movie.
I don't get to watch a lot of movies
But
scheduled.
if anyone's seen it, they'll know. Like the whole movie was about. Well, it
Okay.
wasn't the whole movie, but
Hmm.
the two lead characters. She was
Yes.
very much about signs, and the whole end of the movie was what him finally noticing signs everywhere.
Yes. I love Fools
Oh,
Rush
see,
In.
I I've seen
Yeah.
that movie. It must be at least 30 times,
Oh my
and yet it
gosh.
didn't get good ratings. But I thought it was Matthew Perry's best thing he was ever in.
Right. Right. So what's the gist of the show, of the movie?
Fools Rush In is when they meet by, like he says, by chance, and she's
Yes.
like, "No, I think some, my angels or whoever wanted me to be here at this particular moment in time."
Yes.
And they met, basically had a one night stand, but he really did like her, and they got together and they got married,
Hmm.
and they got married, basically got married first, and then got to know each other.
Yes.
But it's very funny. If you need a funny movie, there's so many funny moments in that movie.
Yes. Which is good for vibes, vibration.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. Well, you want to talk about
I went off topic, didn't I?
yeah, no,
Sorry.
no. No, no, it's okay. We can bounce around as much as we want, you know. Angel numbers I find, I think, and other symbols. I don't want to just say numbers, you know, symbols seem to be the voice of, you know, I always say it's the universe's way of showing you or telling you if you're on the right path, if you're you know, meant to do something, if they want to deter you from something, if there are messages waiting, they just seem to be the thing. But yet, I mean, even Nikola Tesla would say, it's all about frequency, vibration, numbers, mathematics, and people are just like, no, no, no. But it really is. So when you're doing a reading for someone, do you find that a lot of numbers come up, or symbols, things of that nature?
Symbols sometimes come up.
Yeah.
Numbers not as often in the readings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Usually, no. Well, it depends.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
don't recall. It doesn't stand out that I had very many people come and talk. I have had people who were grieving, obviously, and said,
Yeah.
like a squirrel keeps coming up to me and it keeps sitting by me, and I'd be like, if an animal comes up to you, and even though you see these animals every day, everyone sees squirrels every day, but
Mm-hmm.
this is just an example, and a squirrel comes up and literally sits by you and shows no fear
Mm-hmm.
and just seems to be staring at you, doesn't want to go away, I would say that that's probably the person who's passed, who just
Mm-hmm.
wants to be around you.
Mm-hmm.
When my dad passed, my mom and I used to go down by LaSalle Lake and sit in the car, and we would look at the lake and have long talks. And this big seagull would come sitting right beside the cars, just like this, just staring at us.
Yeah.
It wasn't asking for food like they do. It wasn't squawking or anything, just staring. And I said to my mom, "This is Dad. I know it's Dad."
Yeah.
Because every time we went, this same bird would come and sit beside us.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Your dad hated seagulls. There's no way he'd be a seagull." But my memory of my dad was going to Sable Beach years ago when you were allowed to feed the birds. And he'd take a big bag of crusts and we'd feed the seagulls.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a beautiful memory I had with my dad. So it made sense that he would come as a seagull. But my mom actually ended up choosing end of life due to circumstances beyond her control. And I said to her, "Okay, Mom, but when I go back to LaSalle, I expect to see 2 seagulls." And she said, "And I don't care if I'm wrong on this and Dad says there's no way I'm being a seagull. I want to see 2 seagulls." And she said, "Okay, I promise." So I went back, and of course, I wasn't really expecting to see 2 seagulls. But I actually have a photo of 2 seagulls together right over top of where we used to always sit on our bench.
Yeah. So that's nice.
And then when I went down there to, well, I'm probably not supposed to say this, but scatter her ashes.
Yes.
There was,
didn't hear it here.
There was about 100 seagulls, or not seagulls. There was 100 Canada geese all around the park bench. I've never seen that before. I literally went and sat, and they were a foot from me. They didn't bite me or anything. They just all sat around me, and I went, "Wow, you guys really are tired of being seagulls."
Yeah. I love it. I love it. Heidi says her journey started with numbers. Numerology, couldn't deny them. They were everywhere I looked, and their significance. I think that's a big thing when you're looking at signs and when you're looking at numbers. Is it something you ask for? And looking at what is going on in your life at that specific moment, or, in time, and say, yes, okay, there's some kind of an acknowledgement. Wayne says, sometimes I find, especially early on, I would ask for guidance or a sign and never got one. Only later in life did I come to realize that I received the signs instantly, but just never saw them.
That happens a lot, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, the other thing too, and maybe, your listeners already do this, but I always tell my clients what you should do is when you see these numbers, just Google, say, like, number 1414 spiritual meaning, and it will actually give you a reading. And 9 times out of 10, it's something that you need to hear at that time.
Yeah. See, right there. Numbers, everything is in numbers. So if we look at like 111 or 1111, that seems to be the common one.
I
And
had 1111 just before this show because I haven't done this. Ask Michelle. I have not done this in years.
yes,
I took a sabbatical to help my son who's on the spectrum, and
yes.
he had a campaign to raise awareness. So that took all of my time.
Mhm.
So I was quite nervous, and I just thought, I don't know, should I be doing this? I'm so nervous. And I looked over at my phone, and there was 111.
Wow.
Yeah. So
See?
I knew, okay. I went, okay.
Yeah, you follow the lead, follow the lead. But
Mhm.
you know what? When you look at the significance of the series of ones, for example, like 11, 111, 11, it's like new beginnings, manifestations, thoughts becoming reality.
Trusting your intuition.
Trust in your intuition. You see, like right there, when you think about what you were preparing to do, right there. It's like there's so many different ones, but as for what we were talking about before, like you've got two different ends of the spectrum on that one. But 222 or 2222, balance, harmony, faith, and trust in divine timing. I like the 3 series. I really do. 333, 33, so on and so forth. Creative expression, spiritual support, and again, divine guidance, right? The 4s, stability, grounding, protection from spiritual realm. They may need to switch. I need to switch up my numbers. Hey, Mel. Um, so the 5s, change, transformation, embracing new opportunities. And this is just generic stuff, guys. Like Christine said, just go in to get the full
Mhm.
breakdown. This is just very generic. The 7s, again, here's your 7s. Spiritual awakening, good luck, and alignment
Yeah.
with your path, right? The alignment thing resonates a lot with me. The 8s are the abundance, prosperity, manifestation of desires.
Don't we wish we'd all get more 8s? I do.
Only when we're playing crib. Or Wayne and I are terrible with it. Because why am I getting all these 8s? But 8 really is infinity.
Eight and crib is great as long as you have a lot of 7s. Ha.
It's just true. But 8 is the infinity, right? The 8, the
Mhm.
infinity. So I tend to welcome it. Manifestation of desires, yes, 8s. The 9s, endings, completion of cycles, preparing for new beginnings.
Mhm.
So that's kind of interesting. Heidi, on my daughter's birthday on 8/3, and it was 83 out, and I had 38 battery at 3:15. Looked up the
Wow.
numbers. The meaning was so felt. See, like, and again, a little bit of the back and forth.
It's just being aware. It's
Yes. Yes, and I love that. I love numbers. I really do. To me, it's just they're so incredible. But again, it's a whole form of communication.
mhm.
It's just it's ideal. People say, well, no, like I can't connect. Nobody connects. I can't. But they do connect. We're just not speaking the same language. You know, Mirror numbers are my jam. uh, it's one more thing I love about you, Heidi. So, so, so let's talk about spirit animals as guides and such. Like people, we go. I'll go with this, and then we can kind of keep going. Crows and ravens. People look at crows and ravens and go, "Oh, bad luck. They're evil. They're terrible." No, they're
Well, thanks to the
messengers.
omen.
Well, yeah, yeah, the old man, I love it. But again, no, they
They actually
if you
aren't,
read, if you
are
read,
they?
no, they're just they're messengers.
Mhm.
Things are not always what they seem. They're messengers between realms. They're
I had a
highly,
raven sit at the bottom of my driveway for 2 days in a row. It didn't
yeah,
move. I
yeah.
thought it was going to die.
Oh,
But I did look it up. It actually was more of a positive message, as most of them are.
yes. And
I
depending
don't
on how,
think angels give unpositive messages, if
no,
that's even a word, but they don't.
no, they don't. And I think again, they come in different forms,
Mhm.
and sometimes they come in form of messengers. And this is, I think, why they were very revered in even ancient cultures, because of the fact that they were messengers between the different realms. And I think just conditioning, we see black cats, black birds, black, and you're just like, oh, come on. So, I found it interesting. I did a whole show on crows and ravens and what it meant if you saw one, or what it meant if you saw two. What did it mean if you saw one or two, blah, 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 so on and so forth, doing certain things. Like, it was crazy the amount of information that's out there. But it's just like, why do we stereotype, so many animals out there are messengers because they're highly intuitive. I mean, you have
Very.
cats, right? Watch your cats. There's a reason cats were revered, like in ancient Egypt and other ancient cultures.
Cats see everything. They do.
Bingo. Yes, I agree. They do. They see everything, and they also have been known, if there's a belief that a cat will keep you home free of spirits. The cat must have been sleeping and when everything was happening in your bathroom.
Well, this is what I actually, you know what? If you went on my no, and I'll send it later to you. But literally, I have I have 3 cats, but 2 of them are literally camping out in our upstairs bathroom all the time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah.
So something is still going on there, I think. I don't know.
Oh boy. Well, did you close the portal when you removed the spirit?
The portal's definitely closed.
Okay.
It is.
Yeah.
But I still think there's energy there still, maybe.
It's got to clean it up a bit more. Sometimes closing, sometimes you do need to do full removal.
Or maybe I need Michelle to come to my house.
And just finish it? I could do that stuff remotely.
Well, that's no fun.
I know, but I could still do it.
I'll have to find another way to lure you over.
I know. I never make it out that far anymore, but no.
I know.
Once in a while. But I don't know. I feel that animals come in different ways. Sometimes animals leave better signs than people.
I feel very connected to animals. My next door neighbor, Phil, always laughs and calls me Snow White because they're fine around me. They don't destroy our property. Yeah. When I was in a new development and everybody had just laid their new flowers and everything, they were all complaining the rabbits were eating their flowers and ripping apart their garden. And I said, mine just come over to visit. They never destroy anything. My flowers are still here. Mm-hmm. We've got a raccoon that keeps coming up to the back door and hanging out. He doesn't destroy our garbage. He doesn't wreck our roof. Like they just come through. They say hi and they're off again. And
yeah.
But I think they also feel like they know that I'm not going to hurt them.
No, and animals can sense energy as well. So if the energy in a space feels really comforting and really, really light and positive, they will pay attention because they're highly intuitive. And it's so funny because you started off the show saying we all have the ability. Sometimes I think there's this tunnel vision thing that goes on and people can't see beyond, which is why your son is probably like as well. Oh, my niece has autism.
Highly sensitive to it.
That's what I mean. My niece is has autism, and she's very like beep 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 beep. I watch her. I see her react. I'm like, okay, batten down the hatches. What's here? So it's like it's because she's non-expressive with it either. She just sits there and goes. She's always calm. I remember one time I had just worked on, at this location and they were visiting and she sat on the sofa next to my sister. And I guess something kind of tagged along with me. And she just leans over to my sister and said, Mom, she goes, what's growling? That's with me. I'm sorry. That's with me. I'll take care of it. It's like, I never heard a thing. And I usually do, but she just tapped into that energy, but so calm. Yeah. I believe
Simon's like that too. It's just all matter of fact.
it's
Oh, by
there.
the way,
Yeah.
there's something in my room, or there's this, or,
Yeah. There's just no other thought where we're kind of all like, darn it, we're ready to go. And it's just so calm. I truly believe that when the brain is working differently,
hmm
that my gosh, it opens up a world. I've had families, so many families through the decades just message me and the same idea, having a child on the spectrum, saying like even in dreams, they seem to be able to travel differently and things follow back because they're not thinking to, you know, sort of remove the breadcrumbs kind of thing or close that door. Like they just go in pure mind, right? And they just go
Yeah.
in of pure spirit, and it's not a thing. And just trying to ground that energy so things can't as easily come back. I've had to do it for my niece like many times.
hmm Well, he channels all of this kind of stuff into his writing. I call him my little Stephen King.
Ah, I love it that he goes down that route too. Yeah.
So dark, deep, and unbelievable stuff he writes. And that's not a mom being biased. It's like
Yeah.
really like, wow.
Yeah.
I'm a writer, but I could never write to the caliber that he's writing. He's got a book we're pretty hopeful that will be published in a couple of years.
Hmm.
He started it at 14.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's really, really great.
And he leans to the
Dark,
darker side of
dark
things.
stuff. hmm
Yeah.
Very dark.
Yeah. So does he attract primarily dark stuff because he's in that
Well,
headspace,
he's
you
been
think?
having nightmares since he was a kid. And of
Mm,
course, he sees things. So, but he just channels it all into his writing,
right.
which
Right.
makes his writing very powerful.
Oh, it would.
And
But
and
they
the thing is, he's very descriptive, but not in a way like some writers will, try to use as many verbs as possible, and
Mhm,
it's overkill. And
mhm,
it's just he uses these words that are just like perfect, and there's nothing. Like I used to be a book editor, so I'm
yeah.
saying I barely have to edit anything he writes, but his descriptions are, you
Mhm,
feel like you're right there with everything swirling around you and you feel everything. Like
mhm.
it's pretty incredible. He's very gifted. I mean, as most kids with people with autism are, they have a special gift.
And it's usually in the arts as well, like arts, like artistic, whether it be writing or painting or
It's true.
drawing,
Mhm.
swimming, which isn't like an art per se, but that seems to be a big one as well. I just love the whole dynamics of it. I had the honor of working with an adult with Downs, and the family contacted me because he couldn't cope with what the things that were coming in because his mind was so open, and it just
Mhm.
came down to grounding his energy so things couldn't attach, and just sort of cocooning him in a really nice frequency just to keep things from being so attracted to his light, or dimming the light a little bit. It's tough. Some are very good at communicating, with spirits that come in. They have these beautiful bright lights, and,
Mhm.
and spirits, spirit people seem to know that,
Yeah.
which I'm sure your son has experience. Try to shut that light off. It's like, leave me alone. But yeah, it was
I'm more worried he's attracting negative energy.
yeah, that's why, yeah, I had asked, because it comes from somewhere from within,
Mhm.
even the interest and the just knowing how to put it from thought to paper, so to speak, you
Mhm.
know. Well, ironically, I might be able to help with that. So,
I'm thinking you probably can. I'm
yeah.
thinking we'll wait till after that book's published. They'll just
Yeah.
it might
Yeah.
affect his writing, right?
Yeah. He may not want it. It's still free choice any way you look at it.
Mhm.
It's just making sure, not so much that it's it's gone, that it just doesn't, that it just does not invasive,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Like, it's one thing to tap into an energy. It's another thing when the energy is always trying to tap into you and your space and your life, where it affects everything, your behavior, your demeanor, your psyche, everything.
Yeah.
It just really, really makes it tougher. You have to be the one to be in control of what you choose to tap into,
True. Yes.
you know? But all right. Anyway, where do you want to go next with all of this? 'Cause
I think, well, getting back to angels,
yes.
a lot of people ask me, I think here's what I think about angels is that when you're born, you have a guardian angel that's assigned to you. So this is someone, I always say, think of it like your family doctor,
Yes.
right? He's with you and hopefully he's with you, let's say your whole life, but he's there to keep you well, take care of you, give you guidance. So this is what a guardian angel does.
Mm-hmm.
But certain things happen in your life or certain paths you're going to take where I say they need to call in the specialists,
Mm-hmm.
if we think of it in a medical term way. So now the specialists are coming in, and these are your archangels that have different gifts to share based on what you're going through in life.
Mm-hmm.
When I do readings, I have a lot of people who want their angels to say, I really want to meet someone.
Yes.
What's he going to look like? When am I going to meet him? What year is it going to be? And I always say, try to stay away from psychics that are offering you that information, because honestly, I might get a vision of the person you're going to end up with is going to be very strong, very supportive, very mature, compassionate. But I don't put it in the wrapping. I don't say, oh, he's got brown hair and blue eyes, and you're going to meet him in December, because I don't have that information. Your angels aren't going to disclose that either, because if you knew that, then you are only going to open yourself up to people that have dark hair and blue eyes who are named Bob that you meet in December. So we have chosen to come to this life for our souls to grow. So if you think of it in the term of school, this earth, this is our education. So we choose before we come, because we want to be one with God. We want to be everything we can be. I personally would love to be a guardian angel someday. I can't be a guardian angel unless I have experienced everything life has. And that means different lives. It means maybe in one life I murdered someone. I hate to think that, but I think we have to flip the coin, and we have to experience every emotion in every scenario that we can in this life. And we choose before we come here. These are the lessons I want to learn in this life. So your soul family, people that are generally around you all the time, they will say, I'll go down with you. I'll be part of that, and I'll help you live out that scenario. So when you come down and you start your life, think of it as there's all these different paths, and you've got maybe this one over here says A, and up here it says B, here says C, this is D. Those are the things you will experience for sure. There's no timeline, because you set the timeline, and other people affect your timeline. So you might take this path here, and you'll eventually experience A, which you came down for. But when that's going to happen, you don't know, and you could switch to another path. I hope this is making sense.
It does. No, it absolutely does. Yeah.
So your angels will come in when you need them, and you can always ask them. There's a lot of people feel like, why am I not rich? Why don't I have a lot of money? Well, chances are maybe you were rich in a past life. You've already experienced that life, and now you have to come and know what poverty feels like, right? We need to learn empathy. We need to learn love. We need to learn forgiveness. You can't have forgiveness unless you hate somebody first. You have to feel all the emotions. So that's why we're here. The angels are here to help you do that.
That's tough. It seems like it should be fairly simple, but people have a hard time. They'll hang on to grudges like it's a big one.
If you don't have challenges, though, too, people say, why does their life seem so easy? Well, first of all, you don't really know their life. So they
Mhm.
might appear that their life's easy. Maybe it's not.
Mhm.
But how are we going to have joy if we don't have sadness?
Mhm.
Right?
Mhm.
You go through life in a very monotone way. You have to experience
Mhm.
hardship to truly appreciate what matters and to feel blessed and to love your life. I
Mhm.
have found I've had a very difficult life.
Mhm.
But if I hadn't had that, I
Mhm.
wouldn't love everything I love about my life now.
Yes.
You have to compare it
Yes. And balance,
and
as
balance.
that
There
as
has to
well.
be a balance.
Yeah, it's very important. I believe that your guides and angels will come forward. You know, there's so many stories up there. I think I made mention to you. One that really stuck with me is I read a story one time, and it was during wartime, and there was, you know, individuals that were, I guess, restrained in their community, and she was holding on to a Bible, and you have people, the soldiers just going down and they were looking. They were checking everybody. And she kept saying, angels, please make me invisible. Please don't let them see this Bible, because she just knew like it would be the end, right? And they checked everybody and skipped her completely, like she was not even there. There are other stories of, um, you know, being on a battlefield and soldiers just saying, oh my gosh, like we're outnumbered, we're done, we're done. And upon looking up, like they ended up, I guess they ended up capturing the other side. The reinforcements came in, captured the other side. And he asked this one soldier, this German soldier, and he goes, why didn't you attack us? We were outnumbered. He goes, outnumbered. He said, you had an entire regiment of people that lined the whole mountaintop. And there was only one other regiment that came in and helped them. They're just like, no, we didn't. So he's just like, yes, my request was answered. Like they just put it out there. And sometimes it could be really minute things. Like I never went to bed at night when my children were little without saying, if my children need me, make me aware. And make us invisible to anyone who would do harm. And I would put one on each north, south, east, west of the property. And I'll tell you, I mean, on at least two occasions when my little ones were little, because my son used to sleepwalk and he'd be 3, and he was heading for the stairs, and all of a sudden something pushed me up in bed. I mean, in a straight up position. I was like, my head's still going, what just happened to me? And I could see this form coming forward. And so I raced over and I just spun him around, brought him back to bed, and this would happen like on a regular basis, like just stories like that. But I never let a night pass where I didn't ask. And I've had medium friends of mine saying, like, your house is like Fort Knox. It's just like hard to, to even sort of like get in there and have a look. And it's like, wow, you shouldn't be. It's just, So it's just interesting, but it shows in the same respect that they listen,
Well, they do, for sure.
you know. Um, Wayne says there was once a story of a woman walking alone at night and a known criminal was coming towards her. He passed her by, later caught. He had said why he passed her by. He said she had 2 really big guys beside her.
Wow. That's a
So,
great story.
yeah, so yeah, I guess if you have our guides, our guardian angels, right? So you deal with guides. Do you help connect people with guides to their guides or their angels?
With their, I do. I do.
Yeah.
I've never, I'm not good with the names though. I don't actually get the names of the guides,
Yeah.
but I do feel that they're there or I'll get messages.
Hmm.
Guides, loved ones who've crossed over. Um, I had this one girl come in for reading. I'd never met her before.
Yeah.
And Now, you know me, Michelle.
Yes.
I'm not very gruff. I don't walk around swearing and stuff like
No.
that.
No, you don't.
So I'm doing a reading for this girl, and there was a lot of emotional stuff that was coming out from her angels that they were sharing with me, and I was sharing with her. And
Mhm.
she was in tears, like just getting all this emotion out that she needed. She needed a cleansing. So,
Mhm.
and I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. Are you okay? And I'm passing her a Kleenex. She goes, yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine. And then I literally hear in my head, and excuse my language,
Yeah.
bullshit. Just, just like this. And I'm like, and all of a sudden the energy was so strong that I was shaking. I've never had it so much that, I mean, I feel my angels. I get those cold chills up and down
Yeah.
my arms. But this was like I was like this. And this person that came through was so strong a
Yeah.
force
Yeah.
of nature that I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't know what's happening to me right now. I said, but this is what I just heard. And she's like, oh, yeah, that's my grandmother. She comes to me every time I go for a reading.
That's
And I'm
funny.
like, I did not know this. I
Yeah.
literally had to take a break, though, just to kind of calm
Yeah.
down. But apparently she was expecting her grandmother anyway.
Oh boy. But it's nice. It's nice to know. Because I know one time, I'm at your place and we're just sitting there and having, tea and coffee and you make mention of my grandfather being there. It's like, it's just kind of out of the blue. But he ended up being the guy moving on throughout my life who was the one in the forefront of the family. He would be the one to coming forth and ended up putting me on my path to so much, lineage stuff, things like that. So
Oh,
they
that's nice.
yeah, oh, they help. He kept saying, why aren't you going to France? You have to go to France. His grandpa, I don't want to go to France. You have to go to France. It was constant. And you know what? Eventually, as I went on this journey that he sent me on, I found out why I had to go to France.
See, that's the thing. You have to trust the messages too. If you,
Yes.
especially from your angels, if you hear something in your head and you think it's your angels talking to you, and most of us will do this, you'll ignore it, you'll just kind of blow it off, but then it's persistent and you hear it all the time.
Mhm,
That's your angels because they
mhm,
don't stop. If it's something you really need to know, they
mhm,
do not stop until you acknowledge it and say, okay, I will, or I
mhm,
get it, or I hear you, and then it'll stop.
mhm. Yeah. So pay attention. Say just like what Heidi said. She goes, "I've heard biatch, get out of your own way." There you go.
Well, your angels are fun.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Okay, so I've got a photo here of you did a divination board. Do you want to talk about that?
Oh, sure, sure. Well, I'll tell you what started this divination board. When I was about
There.
18,
Mhm.
we had done a musical at school. So I was in high school, and we had a cast party afterwards at somebody's house.
Mhm.
And some of the kids went downstairs and we were upstairs. But the ones that went downstairs, one of them, she was highly intuitive and decided to bring a Ouija board.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, and back then when we were younger, I mean, that was kind of one of the games, right? Nobody really thought too much about it.
Mhm.
But she brought out a Ouija board, and there were a couple of them, and they did that thing where you call,
Yeah.
the Mary thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm not going to say what it is.
No, no. Yeah, I get it.
Um, but you say this name 3 times or whatever. Anyway, she appeared apparently, and one of them felt like they were being stabbed in the back, and they were all
Mhm.
freaked out, and basically told them that one of them was going to die. It was going to be a car involved. It was going to be like a cream colored Cadillac, and it was going to happen at an intersection, and all this stuff happened. They came screaming up the stairs.
Mhm.
I'm there thinking, we're in somebody's home. This is really disrespectful that you're acting like this.
Mhm.
And I didn't hear the whole story till later, but they were walking around, the two of them. One is a boy who was in my music class, and this girl that I was friends with, they were carrying around crosses, like wearing crosses everywhere and scared to death. A month later, there was an accident, white Cadillac. Oh, and the spirit had also said that good and evil was going to fight over this person. So car accident, the boy got struck and was in a coma for about a couple of months, I think, or maybe it was weeks, and died. So that's one story I know with the Ouija board. And the other story is I had a neighbor who ran down here because she knew I did readings and things. And she said, have you ever done a exorcism? I said, no, I have not. So I contacted the lady I went to for readings, and I said to her, have you ever done an exorcism? And she said, I have. And she gave me all the paperwork and everything I needed to do it. And because this was my friend, I said, okay, I will come and do this exorcism for you. And then she said, because what was happening was her daughter was having all these issues. There was some spirit in her room. It was evil. They felt it. They didn't know what it was. And she said, my daughter somehow brought this home and I need to get it out of the house. So she said, give me all the paperwork. I'm going to do it myself. I said, are you sure? I said, you have to. She said, no, I will do everything you tell me I have to do, but it's my responsibility and I'll take care of it. So she did. She did the exorcism. But what happened was it didn't work for her. But what happened was that night, the fire department ended up going to her house. They called the fire department because a spark had gone behind the girl's bed. And the firemen came and said, a few minutes later, this whole bed would have gone up in flames. Your daughter would be dead. They found the Ouija board under her bed. So the problem with Ouija boards is it's just a vessel like anything else. But people think of it more as a game. They don't take it seriously. And you have to, like before I even do a reading, I clear myself. I ask Archangel Michael to put his white light through me, to surround me with this white healing light and put me in a protective bubble. I do this whole ritual before I will open up to spirit. But people don't do that with the Ouija board. So what I did is I created this divination board based on things that my clients have always asked me when they come for a reading. I want to know this. I want to know that. Now, I mentioned this to you, Michelle. It's kind of funny. So one of my clients took this home and she messages me and she says, Christine, I'm really worried. Is May a bad month? What happens in May? And I'm thinking, May, a bad month? What are you talking about? And she came back and said, but there's no May on the board. And I created this whole board and I forgot to add May.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, yep. I said to her, rest assured, May is a beautiful month. Everything's good. So I do sell these, and I will make sure if anyone ever wanted one that I would definitely have May added to it. But what I did with this board is I Reiki infused it. I called all my 7 archangels, and I did a whole cleansing of it and a clearing. And it's a protected board so that people that get their hands on it, who don't know to clear, who don't know to ground, there's nothing evil going to penetrate this board. So that was my goal. And it was all based on my experience when I was younger.
Well, I truly believe as well that it's about intention, the power you put behind the intention. And I think with the Ouija board, it becomes very expected as well, right? People put that intention in there and that thought process around it, whereas when you're doing something more enlightening, the intention, I believe, I always say mindset is everything. Intention is everything.
Because this one, you're calling your angels to help you. You're asking your angels questions. But as we know, if you're not, protecting yourself, that evil spirits will jump in there if they can. If there's an opening, they're going to.
Yes.
And you might think you're getting the messages from the right source, but you aren't.
So that's actually a good point. So how do you know? How do you know?
Well, that's the problem. Honestly, you don't. Unless you're highly intuitive, you don't. Which is why it's more about educating people that they have to protect themselves.
Yes. Carrie says now we have apps like Randonautica. I've never heard of that one. That you give an intention and can send people to potential danger. See, that's something else. It's like you guys have often heard me say. It's like, and again, what Christine makes mention of, not the Ouija board is just a vessel. It's like now you have to worry about phone apps. Now you have to even doing voice recordings. I think it's the intention to communicate with something specific, right? If you're not careful, there's just too much that can come out and mimic exactly what you want. I would think when you're dealing with archangels, because I have, or angel guides, things of that nature, that's a whole other feel.
It is a whole different feel. But to you and I, and to some people, it's a whole different feel. But there's those that just don't have that ability to tell the difference. Like for me, if I'm working with angels and and they're telling me something, Michelle, if it's accurate, like I said, I get cold chills up and down my arms, like really intense chills to the point where I'm freezing. And that's affirmation for me.
Yes, absolutely. But you're used to having them around as well, right?
And
So
exactly.
you know what it should feel like because you work with them. And if it doesn't feel that way, that's your red flag. So if you have to advise somebody on what to look for, doesn't mean it's what you're going to get unless, like you say, you're highly intuitive. Because I've seen really intuitive people get into some pretty big trouble with things, still not quite realizing, if you allow channeling, if you're not careful, those boundaries have to be there. I know people who do, automatic writing and, like remote viewing, or the channeling, bringing spirits in and allowing them into the vessel. But you still have to have boundaries, because otherwise you just may end up with, like a dual coexistence going on there.
For sure. That's why I don't do anything like that if I don't protect myself first.
Yes.
That's why when I do readings, I always work with Archangel Michael. And if it's a healing reading, if it's something about someone who's ill, then I call in Archangel Raphael. But those are the two main ones. But always the protection one. And I clear myself too, because we carry around negative energy as well.
Oh, yes. Yes. I think sometimes people energy is worse.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Well, we can't help it. We have baggage. People are very, very busy, they don't always take the time to stop and pay attention to your surroundings. I've always been a person who's an observer, not just of people, but my environment. Like I'm always aware of everything around me at any given time, and I think that's the key, because then you become more tuned into what you can't see within your environment. Right. So Heidi makes a good point. She also says that, even though you can be very mindful of energies around you, things can and definitely will slip in. Right. So it's always a matter of being. Yeah. So Carrie, Dungeons and Dragons. Oh my God, I remember that. Something of the 80s where people were literally channeling these beings that they were playing. I think we're getting back into Topaz with that as well, creating something just out of a thought process and thought form, and creating a thought form that is, when this stuff happens, they're seen all over the world. It's crazy to think it started right? And somebody's
Mhm.
knocking. So insane. So we've got about 10 minutes left. So what would you like to address next? What?
I did want to talk about there's a book that I recommend to all my clients for people who truly want a glimpse of what's on the other side. And the reason I feel that I can recommend this book is I had a friend who actually introduced me to it. It's called Echoes of the Soul
Okay, let's
by
grab it.
Echo Bodine.
I
And
know the
Echo
name.
Bodine is a renowned psychic.
Okay, I'm gonna just grab it and show it to everybody. Okay, you can keep talking. I'm just
Okay,
tinkering.
so I met with a friend for coffee, and she was telling me how she had a friend whose um, husband was dying of cancer, and that she wanted something to give her friend some hope. And she said, in this book, it talks about the psychic having an out of body experience and visiting heaven and seeing everything that happens in the afterlife. So I said to her, don't tell me what's in this book. Here's what I know. And by I know, I don't mean I know. I mean it's kind of a knowing. It's this feeling I've had where I've seen glimpses of heaven myself and how I think it all works. And I said to her, let me tell you what I see and what I think happens when we go to the other side. Because again, we're going to go over there, and there's all these different communities and places you go to heal. Like for my dad was a singer. He sings like Bing Crosby. When I picture him in heaven, he's in this beautiful, vast area. You know, I don't know how to describe it. It's absolutely beautiful. And he's hanging out with people like Nat King Cole, Bing Crosby. They're all singing. They're all having fun.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever it is you love, you're there with your loved ones. But anyway, 10 minutes won't cover this. So
Yeah, it's no
I
problem.
basically, what I told her, she said, oh my gosh, this is exactly what's in this book. I had never read this book. And I thought, okay, so here's someone else who's far away from me, who sees exactly what I've seen. So that's why I'm comfortable recommending this book.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's really great if you want to really glimpse into heaven and what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have someone who's not doing well or who needs hope, this is the book they should be reading.
So yeah, basically, if someone, I've worked with so many people on the verge of, their time was approaching, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes they just really need some kind of reassurance as to what things will be like. And you know what's strange is even like with my mom, my mother was very, very gifted, and in the end, even she was asking me questions. And it's just all stuff she knew. What am I going to expect? What am I going to see?
My
What's it going
mother
to
was
be like?
scared. I could tell she was scared.
Yeah.
Even though we believe what we believe,
Mhm.
even for myself, I mean, I've had so many examples. I've had visitations, from people who've
Mhm.
crossed over giving me messages that I know they're real because I speak to my client and they know
Mhm.
exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So I've had a lot of examples of people who have crossed over just as you have. But as we get older, there's
Mhm.
still that tiny, tiny little voice that says, what if
What
after
if?
all this time I've been wrong? What if this is it? Because I think everybody does that at some time or another, even though you can have tons of evidence to the contrary,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
we
Yeah.
we tend to fear things. But I actually, before your show, I reread this book. It's a
Wow.
beautiful book.
Wow.
And it does cover things too, like why do people have miscarriages,
Mhm.
what happens after suicide, things like that.
But you can expand. Um, it's a 90-minute show. It's not like I can't go over. I don't have anyone on after me, so if you want to, feel free.
Well, for example, miscarriages, it could be that there was never a soul intended to be in that child,
Mhm.
that person had chosen to have a miscarriage in this life. They needed to experience that.
Right.
Or it could be the person that's the soul that's coming into that body wanted to be, say, a girl, and it's a boy. That was an example, but we know that tends to happen anyway.
Yes. Yes.
But
yes.
Suicide, it's pretty much, it does say it's not a solution. It just makes more work on the other side. You still, whatever you're running from in this life or whatever you can't cope with, you will still have to process that on the other side. There's still work to be done.
Yes.
So it's not really an escape. So basically don't do it but I find that most people that are in that emotional state, it's easy to say don't do it, but
Yeah, I think people also need to consider that just because the physical ceases to be, it's the essence that holds everything. Those emotions are still going to remain with you. And it's interesting because out of all my years, I've seen suicides remain behind just because they're still in the same state of mind. They can't break free of it. But yet I have met a couple of suicides they're fully aware and they've just moved right on. For them, they felt like they were aware of the process and said, no, this was the best solution for me, and were able to transition to.
Oh, that too.
Yeah.
Like there was one example in there of someone who basically kept saying that I'm going to be going soon because they had done everything they came here to do. So they actually chose to go because they had nothing left to do. So in that scenario, that was fine.
Yes. Yes.
I was just going to say, I was thinking of another story I read in there. I told you it would go right out of my head.
That's okay. Right? That's okay. Yeah.
No, it was important though.
It'll come to you.
I remember. So basically something, because I have a friend who recently lost her son in a car accident. We were talking about how it's our biggest fear when we have a child. I tried, the lucky 7 again. I tried 7 years to have my son. In vitro didn't help. And doctors called him a 1 in a million miracle.
Wow.
And he was like an angel. He's always been like an old soul, very compassionate. This is my eldest. And so I always had this fear that the angels had loaned him to me and they were going to take him away. And he was going to die young. I've always been afraid of something happening to him. So I'm trying to think where I was going with this. Isn't that terrible?
No, it's okay.
I was going somewhere with this.
It'll come back. It'll come back.
So, well, this one story. Oh, I know what it was. So about my friend. So when I see her posts about losing her son, I feel everything. I feel it's almost like I keep playing that scenario of what happened to him over and over. And I feel her pain. And it's just, it's like I said, it's a mother's worst nightmare. And I wish I could say this to her, but you don't want to be intrusive. But I did read in this book, it seems that our souls do leave our body before impact, that we do not go through that pain. And that was very comforting to hear. The only story that was in there that she did talk about was there was this one guy who learned how to parachute. It was his first parachute. His instructor taught him and told him how to pull the string and all that. But apparently this person was very stubborn in real life and liked to do things his way and thought he had a better way of doing it.
Oh, boy.
I don't know what he was thinking, but of course he's going down to the ground and his parachute didn't open. And he actually was so convinced he was going to survive that he actually did feel the impact. He did.
Oh, boy. So it didn't time it right.
No.
Wow.
But other than that, it's a beautiful book.
I like how it hits on everything. But I mean, here's one. Wayne basically says, and anxious to hear your input. I think and ponder whether my original soul was removed in order to have another soul energy take my current physical form. Because I've heard of situations where a person is there to do a job, and when that job is done or the task is done and completed, they accept their early passing and feel, okay, this is what you were talking about, and feel quite
Mhm.
all right with this. So basically, he's talking about having a walk-in, and
Yes.
the story is at 4 years old, he was at his birthday party, and then all of a sudden sat up and went, "Oh my God, I'm a child," and everything changed from that point on for him. Everything.
Wow.
It's almost
There
like,
there is that is a real thing. A
okay,
walk-in, it's a real thing.
yes, yes,
I
yeah,
mean, we like to think that it's not, but it is.
yes. So just maybe his
And
soul.
that could be something the souls decided on too before they came here, right?
Hmm.
It part of your soul family. I need to do this, but this is only going to take me this much time. You want to do that, but you need to be older to do it. So why don't we go together? And
Yes.
it does happen. Yes.
Yes. Or sometimes maybe the soul is just too overwhelmed by being here. It's just like, nope, nope, not doing this. Don't want to. I'm not good with it. Nope, nope. And
Yeah.
then your soul, another soul comes in and says, okay, all right then. Why don't I just take over? But, I wonder, there's just so many different reasons with it all, you
I know
know?
this isn't really the same thing. It kind of is, but isn't.
Yeah.
But I had a cat for years who kind of accidentally found us.
Yes.
And this cat was called Jonah, and he
Hmm.
was more like a person.
I remember
I, pic-
Jonah.
I pictured a young boy in
Yeah.
Jonah. I just
Yeah.
never thought of Jonah as a cat. Jonah was the type of cat where I would talk to him like I would a person. I'd tell him to do things and he would do them.
Yes.
And I remember once Jonah, I had someone on my talk show. It was Lane Taylor. She does animal whispering.
Hmm.
And I had said to her, I hear angels. Why can't, and I hear loved ones. Why can't I hear animals? She said, it's practice. You just need to really open yourself up and practice. And
Hmm.
anyway, I was upstairs one morning and my youngest son was about 5 years old. And I was with Jonah and I heard in my head, just like I do my angels, him say, Dorian's into the candy. And
Oh boy.
I'm like, we didn't have any candy in the house, but I trusted what I heard. And I
Hmm.
yelled downstairs and I said, Dorian, what are you doing? Nothing. And I said, really? Because Jonah just told me you're into the candy. And I did it just like that. And he saunters up the stairs, Dorian, pokes his head around and says, I'm sorry, Mommy. I just had a little bit of candy. What candy? And my parents had come over after Memorial Day or Remembrance Day, and
Yes.
they had a little tiny bag they'd given him, and it had some candy in it. And the cat told me about it.
Oh, it's funny.
But,
Cat ratted him out.
but the thing about Jonah is Jonah passed about a year ago.
Oh,
And like I said, this was a family member to us. And I know our pets are, but this was like a person to us. I can't even put it into words
hmm,
how special this cat truly was.
hmm.
Jonah got cancer, and I basically, before Jonah passed, I said, you find a young body and you come back to us.
Yes.
So we had about 3 months later, we had a rescue that was 6 months old. So the reasoning was, okay, not reincarnated because this cat's 6 months old already.
Yes.
But this cat came in here like it had lived here forever, just like Jonah had.
Hmm.
And this cat has all the mannerisms and the demeanor of Jonah. To the
Say.
point like the cat pushes its, when they push your head into your arm, like
Mhm.
headbutts you. And
Yeah. So he sent you one
he
just
either
like
he
him.
either sent one just like him
Yeah.
or he's a walk-in.
See, that could very well be. Well, I'll tell you something. one of my little Chi-Chis died, and I said to her, I says, need to send, she was very unusual, much like Jonah, in the demeanor, had certain characteristics, was like a little human. And I said, you send me another one just like you. This was after she had passed. I said, but one who really needs a home and needs the love. And little tiny Chi-Chis, because I've had all kinds of them, they're hard to get. I mean, they
Mhm.
go like this, the little ones. And all of a sudden there was this little one. And I responded, to the ad, and it goes, yes, would you like her? I'm like, what's wrong with her? Because they go like this. Anyway, and she is exactly like Peter was, and every way, the exact same demeanor, temperament. I mean, everything. And she's a little bugger, this one too, and so is Peter. So I know there's got to be something there. Walk in, yeah, because she died in my arms, so I knew. I mean, she had died several times or lost her breath, stopped breathing. I brought her back like probably 6 times. And I was like, nope, 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 you are not leaving me. And that was it. So it's really hard. You get very attached, but because they're like little people.
Yeah.
But if the theory is true where spirits and the essence can come back in anybody in any form you want,
Hmm.
some of them do choose to come back animal life. A dog had it made. She had a freaking amazing life.
I
So,
know. I always look at my cat and think I'd like to be a cat in my next life. Just lay around, and
yes.
it's the cuisine I'm not too sure about.
I know. I love it. Oh, it was such a pleasure having you on.
Thank you.
And askyourangels.ca. It's flashed up here. And I'm going to put it in the 1 second because I just have to take it off the screen. And I'm going to put it in the chat here so people can go on.
It's probably, if anyone wants to reach me though, maybe through Instagram because my email's not working at the moment.
Oh, no. Okay. All
Yeah.
right. So we'll leave it there. So on Instagram under Ask Your Angels.
Hmm.
Okay. So why don't we just do that? Instagram. I'm just
I
writing it
sent I
down.
sent you a little barcodey thing. I don't know if you still have that ready.
1 second. I was probably trying to scan it. Give me 1 second.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Michelle will tell you I'm technologically challenged. I really am.
She is. Yeah, she
Yeah.
is. I'll go with it. No, it's okay. 1 second. I'll see if I can.
But the website will say all the different readings that I do actually do.
Okay.
But as I said, I just don't know if you can reach me from the website at the moment.
Okay. I don't know if it'll let me put it up here. But they'll have to have the barcode. I think that's something you have to be able to scan, and I don't know if I can do that here. No, it will not let me put it up here at all. Okay. What I will have to do.
It's okay, Michelle. Don't worry about it.
I got this. I'm just not going to be able to
I
look
came on for fun.
1 second. No, it's okay. I can do this. Hold on.
And it was very nice meeting everybody.
Oh, there it is. Darn it. I think I have it. Oh, there it is. Okay. So let me put it up. Ba, 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 ba. See, it takes me a little fandangling, but I can do it. There we are.
And I only learned about this barcode thing in the last month or so. That's how behind I am.
Oh, in the times?
Yeah.
That's so funny. I know. I love it though. And technology just sneaks up on you and you're kind of like, wow, that was pretty darn amazing. Look at that. That's pretty cool. But I had a wonderful time with you. It was so nice to sit across from you again.
I know. I've missed this so much.
Yeah, it doesn't help that I've lived away for so long, but now we're connected again. For those of you guys in the chat room, thank you. I appreciate you all being here as always, and you must make it that much more fun. So thank you. Tomorrow night on the main show, we welcome Sir Brian. Oh, wait, I might even have that wrong. I do have that wrong. Sir Brian Bowden is going to be on Thursday night. My gosh, I'll be okay. Thursday night. And we're going to be having an in-depth discussion about dogmen. Yes. Tomorrow night, another dear friend of mine returns, Kevin Dermot O'Doherty, who's going to be talking about his new book, Encounters on the Edge of the Etheric. All the way from Ireland. The guy is a champion. I mean, it's going to be 2 a.m. there for him when we get started. And I always say, I kudos to anybody who can do that because, oh my God. Anyway, got the days mixed up, but that's the schedule. So big thank you to Christine for joining me. Big thank you to everybody in chat. Big thank you to the United Public Radio Network, UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 FM from the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM from New Orleans. Have a fantastic afternoon, guys, and we'll see you tomorrow night on The Outer Realm. Bye-bye.
Bye.